Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight on episode 2, season 7 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie. We're live here on New Zealand Sport Radio every Wednesday on Facebook and YouTube throughout the season. Evening, Rich. With the NRL seasons officially underway, with the Vegas games in the book, they were better matches than I expected, but they still didn't blow me away, mainly due to who was playing. But how are you, and what did you think of the weekend's clashes?
I'm doing well, thanks, Brad. I actually thought I thought the matches were pretty entertaining. To be fair, maybe I've just been starved for footy for so long. It's it just whets the appetite perfect. But I thought the games overall quite good and enjoyed it as a spectacle. Even though it's probably, like you say, probably four teams you wouldn't pick right off the bat to send as a showpiece for your game, but I thought it was quite good anyway. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Definitely better than the Super League offering. That was for sure.
Yeah, it was a bit one-sided.
Not that we got to watch that one over here anyway, but while we're live here on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m, you can also catch our show at your convenience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know in the week that was rugby league, including our top stories of the week, a review of the Las Vegas matches. We'll then stop and answer some questions from you guys, as well as questions we've prepared for each other. We'll then preview the rest of round one and make our picks. I'm 2 from 2 so far, spoilers, Matt. Remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show, and we may as well jump into the stories, Matt.
Cool.
There wasn't really too much, but I scrounged a few things together. It's very Volandis heavy, which I'm sure he'll love. But after another Vegas trip, they said they had 45,719 fans show up. Peter Volandis has confirmed that the NRL do intend to remain in US as part of their season schedule permanently. I think there's another 2 or 3 years left on the current deal. And they said they'll either stay in Vegas or go somewhere like Miami. Miami, I'm not so sure on, just due to the time zone difference. I think Vegas suits better because I think someone worked it out that's better at maths than me. They try to do the right times in Miami. You're looking at like the first game at like 10 in the morning in Australia, which they probably won't like, especially to kick it off. But money talks. If they can get a decent deal, they're going to go to Miami. So what's your take on it? Do you mind the American stuff now?
I've just gotten used to Vegas. I quite like Vegas as an event. It's got the other side of it, the lights and the glitz and the glamour kind of lead up to the week as well. I think it's something different in our calendar now, and it's I enjoy it anyway. How about Volandis' haircut? Right there,
mate. All the money he gets, he can't get a decent barber. That's someone throwing a stone in a glass house with what I do to my hair from time to time. But it was a bit shocking. But continuing with him, mate, he's also still keen to have a global round kick off the season with like the round one having games in UK, Abu Dhabi, Japan, and other places, and like have basically a game in every country around the world that he can. For round one, I'm still not a fan of that either. I still think time zones are going to be an issue. You don't want people having to get up early in the morning to watch their team. They complain enough about having to watch their team play in New Zealand at a funny hour. So,
Jacko's very high on a week on a round like that too.
And Jacko said Vegas is okay, but let's be honest, it's the hypes and glitz. Obviously, a great trip with fans, not exactly about growing the code. That was the point I was looking at, because his whole thing at the beginning was talking about growing the game in America, but they said it was 45,000. I think they said there was 20 to 25,000 fans that flew in from Australia and 10,000 that flew in from the UK. So that's...
I see it for what it is. It's not really growing the game, but it's
a good excuse to send people. I know there was a lot of Australians talking about the cost and like costing them shitloads of money just to go and buy like a beer. and things like that. But yeah, we'll see if it's still putting money in Volandi's pocket, which is what he cares about. If he can make the NRL money, that's him doing his job, I guess. He also continued. This is the week he gets to have all the interviews, mate. He also spoke about Super League, saying that the Super League owners must allow the NRL to run the Super League, otherwise they're heading towards a train wreck. Some would say they already are, like running into a train wreck. It's been a bit of a disaster the last few years, with viewers online, on TV, and at the grounds depleting at a rapid pace, and the quality of footy is not really at the level it used to be. Even though we've always joked about it being the ugly stepsister to the NRL anyway. Like to the point where we don't even talk about it anymore. We used to do a segment at the end of the show, and after Jacko abused us every week and about it, we had to pull the pin. One, because we can't watch the games in New Zealand anymore unless you buy an extra subscription. And two, the games just weren't worth it. And so I'm going to say it's a way to try and get us gamblers involved. I haven't had a chance to watch the American YouTuber about it. I need to watch his video soon. Yeah, it's all about the gambling money, but then the Americans haven't been that keen on doing gambling on it. It hasn't really hit the ground on that aspect either, because they don't. The Yanks don't really want to bet on something they don't understand. But yeah, we'll see. You think that? I feel like it's inevitable that the NRL will end up being heavily involved in the Super League, one way or another. It sounds like they're just going to end up buying them if they don't get their way. But what do you reckon?
Yeah, it might help with the running of their game. Watching their game at Vegas, it was pretty one-sided, but the fans were really vocal. That's one thing, you can't knock them for some of the club's fan bases. But yeah, it could do with the cleanup, the competition. It's just it kind of lives up to what you kind of called it, Brad, the ugly stepsister competition.
Yeah,
at the moment.
And Jacko says he doesn't abuse us. He just sees it how it is. And Simon said he thinks the Super League's actually improved this year from what he's watched, and that the new teams aren't going to have to be pushovers. That's right. Yeah. We
can't watch it.
Yeah. The new teams that have come up are holding their own. It's not like the last time we were talking about it, where we were counting the days until the promoted team would get their first win of the season. So it is a bit closer, but yeah, we'll see what happens in a couple of years. They might be part of the NRL in some way or form. And Simon says it's free currently. I'll have to look into it because I do miss my Wigan Warriors. Speaking of TV deals and the like, though, Channel 7 in Australia is preparing a new bid for the NRL TV rights deals when they come up. And part of it, they're interested in bringing back Monday night games if they won it. I don't know if they're going to win it. I don't know if they're going to have the money to take it over from Fox and the like. But would you want to see Monday night games come back?
No, not really. No. What's wrong with the way it is? I don't think Mondays it's not a convenient day. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd watch it if my team's playing. But yeah.
We never really had a lot of Monday games. I don't know if we had any as Warriors. I think the Monday time to have it, especially if it was played in New Zealand, they didn't like that time. Like 6 o'clock on a Monday Australian time wasn't ideal for them. So we always kind of avoided it. But selfishly, Monday is when I'm, finalizing my game review and posting it on social medias and that. So it would really throw off my schedule if the Warriors were playing a game on Monday. So
think about you, Brad.
Yeah, I would prefer it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Fox and Nine and whatever it's confusing how the rights are over there. It's not like over here where it's just Sky. So I'm not sure, and it doesn't really affect us other than when games are played, really, because Sky is still the only fighter, the only one in the fight over here. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. We'll get off the business talk now and get into actual footy. Perth Bears are interested in signing Murata Nakora from 2027. I think he'd be a good pickup for them, and he's a player and a bit of money on the table that the Warriors could probably do with getting free off. He's meant to be quite highly priced, and the young boys, I think I was talking to you and Ruin Hammer saying I feel like the young
discussing it.
Yeah, the young boys in the team at the moment are kind of doing the same thing that he is providing anyway, at a cheaper rate. So it would make sense to let him go. He's at the end of it. I think this year is his final year anyway, so it's not like they have to release him early. But yeah, free up some cash, add that to the cash they're going to have from Barnett. Kurt Capewell, Roger are also off contract this year. I see Kurt Capewell. I was going to say I see him going. He might be one that Webby decides to stick to due to Mitch Barnett leaving and wanting experience, being the devil's advocate here, but I think he's another one that will probably be gone. So there's a lot of money freed up to, if they want to make a play at someone big, or if they want to ensure that the youngins they've got stick around. But yeah, it'd be good. I think Murata's still too good to go to Super League. But yeah, I think going to the Perth would be a perfect fit. Give them an experienced forward to go in there as well. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Jago said Nakore will go and free up space. And Simon said, I have no issue with Monday night game. I don't mind long to keep the Thursday game as well. I don't mind. I'm happy the Warriors don't play Thursday night because I start work early so I can leave early. It's always a bitch watching that Thursday night game. It makes Friday a bit groggier, but that's completely selfish reasoning on my part again. We'll get into Zach Lomax, mate. I had to change it because it all changed. It all changed yesterday. So there was talks that the camps were talking in private and were trying to avoid going to court, and that it all pointed towards Lomax was basically going to get the tap and say, you can go to Storm, it's fine, we're sorry. But that's not what happened. So I had to change it. The case has been settled. The Melbourne Storm have to pay $250,000 of the Eels legal fees, and Lomax will not be eligible to play in the NRL until 2028. So they were nice. They gave him a year off because it was 2029 originally. So they took a year off, but yeah, he's not allowed to play. So he didn't win the battle that he thought he would. The Storm have come out and complained. I know Craig Bellamy said, this has cost the NRL a superstar, completely forgetting the fact that he was trying to go play R360 anyway. So despite all of this happening, he was leaving NRL anyway. Clint Newton from the boss of the RLPA did a big social media post saying that they're disgusted with it, and that it's not fair on Lomax despite the actual facts. It seems to be the public sentiment were against Clint. There weren't a lot of people backing him saying we side with Lomax in this. Lomax agreed to a release and had rules in place, and then he wanted to break the rules, which is an ongoing trend with Lomax and his contracts. So I'm happy to see the Eels won this one. I did hear rumors or Jacko said Lomax can play union. He can make good money in Japan or somewhere. Hell, he may even make Wallabies. There was rumors that he was already meeting Australian rugby today. So he might be an early or a quick signing to get into the Super Rugby. If he had, instead of dicking around, if he had spoken to Australian rugby already, he would already probably be playing. But it is what it is. Have you got anything you want to add to Lomax, mate? You still can't hear me, can you? Right, I'm going to keep going.
No, I'm trying to get you.
Can you hear me now? we'll say that's no. We'll go into the next part and we'll ask about Lomax when Richie can hear me again. So Shane Flanagan spoke. Oh, you can hear me? Okay, sweet. Lomax, what do you reckon?
Well, he's got a resolution now, so they can kind of put it to bed. It's not the one he wants. Obviously, he wanted to get a deal to keep playing, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's any smoke with his fire on that rugby union stuff, because, I mean, if he can sneak a deal with Rugby Australia, there's a home World Cup as well. Could definitely be an option that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, so we'll see, but it's good to see it's out of the way now instead of being something that we have to talk about every week for the next couple of rounds on Willy Willy. It's all officially done, so we can stop talking about Lomax from now, basically. But next bit of news was Shane Flanagan, mate. He spoke about his team's loss and the game's deciding call that resulted to his loss in Golden Point, saying the game, I've got his quote, he said, the game get decided like that. It was a loose carry every day of the week. Without a doubt, there's other poor calls as well. We didn't get the rub of the green, that's for sure. Cam Serraldo, the Bulldogs coach, also got asked about that stripping situation, and he said he advised he was too high in the stadium and didn't have a good view, but said there were many calls in the game that could have gone either way. And then the NRL have stepped in as well, and they have said that if the Dragons had used a captain's challenge on that strip call, the bunker would not have had enough evidence to overturn the decision. So they are happy with the call. Was it a strip or was it a loose carry, mate?
I think it's one you could make a little argument for either way, depending on which side of the fence you support. And I've seen those go against the Warriors plenty, so I don't really care. But it's just one of the probably, but I think if you're at the press conference whinging about certain calls, you haven't taken the game enough into your own hands to win the game anyway. You get some of those and then you cop some of those. It goes both ways, I guess.
Yeah. Jacko makes a good point here, saying is a loose carry, but who cares? Brad will like it as Dragons lost. Yeah, I was really I think it's 100% a loose carry and there was no strip, but it led to the Dragons losing. So I was like, I feel for them, I really do, but it helps me out. So yeah, I think it was a bad call, but the right team won in the end. So next bit, we did talk about it very briefly, but Leeds played Hull KR at Vegas, and Leeds defeated Hull KR 58-6. I only saw highlights. I got to see Mike Acevo with his big 90-meter run and having a field day. Very one-way traffic, which was a bit of a surprise after Hull KR played as well as they did against Brisbane in the World Club Challenge. But maybe they would just all tuck it out after that game, which maybe throws credence.
Throw everything into that game for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Throws credence into when I gave the Panthers crap for saying we're not playing both. But it looked entertaining. It would have been nice if Sky showed that game in New Zealand, but it is what it is. And then the last bit of news before signings and stuff, mate, it was announced yesterday that NZRL CEO Greg Peters has informed the NZRL board that he will be stepping down from his role. I listened to an interview with him today on the way home from work where he basically said he isn't disclosing what he's going to be moving into. He's having meetings, talking to wherever he's deciding to go, but just that it's been 8 years and he's been happy with what he was able to accomplish and he wants to move on. He didn't really specify, and the press release didn't specify if he's stepping down after the World Cup or not. I imagine it would be. I feel like it's the wrong time for a CEO to step down a couple of months before the big international event. So I assume it might be after the World Cup ends, he tucks away, but I couldn't find anything confirming his final day.
Surely.
But it would make sense to me, I think. But league management have a different mind than we do. So, Simon said he did watch the whole game on the Papua New Guinea channel NBC on his Samsung Smart TV on the web browser.
Clever.
Oh, see, we need you on the show, Simon. I'm not smart enough for that stuff. I couldn't get it to work on my TV, so I was watching it on my little screen on my phone. But we'll go into signings, mate. There's only 2 signings and an extension that I found. So the Bears made 2 more signings. Siosifa Talakai has signed on a 3-year deal, and Scott Sorensen on a 2-year deal. Both good pickups for the Bears. And then the Warriors also extended Tane Tuapiki until the end of 2028, which I was quite happy with.
Oh, very happy.
Obviously it's showing that they do have him in mind for a bigger role with the club going on. Like if he was just always going to be just your backup, you're probably not going to extend him this early. But yeah, you happy with the Bears signings and the extension?
Yeah, there's a good signings for the Bears. If you throw Niokore on top of that, if that rumor plays out, that's some pretty solid forwards already. Sort of they've got on the books. So, and obviously the Tane one, very happy with that. Who knows how? Hopefully he gets his shot at fullback. I'd love to see it, but maybe not. Maybe there's some bench work in there for him, especially with the new bench work. Webby loves a little switcheroony on game day. Maybe the bigger bench opens up more doors for him to.
Spoilers for later. He is already been slotted into one of those extra 2 spots. But we don't know. By come Friday, I think they have to announce the final team an hour and a half earlier now, when it used to just be an hour.
It's changed.
So an hour and a half before kickoff, we might see him playing. We won't know. We'll go on to injuries, mate. There weren't too many, but there were some big ones. So Fletcher Sharp from the Knights, knee injury. Sounds like it was a PCL, and he was going for scans, and they reckon he'll only be out 2 to 3 weeks, which isn't as bad as...
He was looking good too.
Yeah, he was looking real good, and then it was probably more concerning when he went down with the knee that they kept him out there for a little bit. But thankfully they pulled him off, and he should be back soon. It's great for the Knights when they've got Sandon Smith to be able to jump in and take that spot, though.
True.
So that was a clutch moment for him. Tom McCarley from the Cowboys, he did his MCL. He's out for 6 weeks. Big loss for the Cowboys because they need all the help they can get. And then Brandon Smith, I think we talked about it last week, but we didn't have confirmation. So it is a calf strain, and he's going to be 4 to 6 weeks on the sidelines. So terrible for him when he's, trying to reshape his career again.
Can't catch a break. Yeah.
And then Josh Adokar from the Eels, he is out for 3 weeks with a broken thumb. Eels have got some okay players, but they'd like to have Adokar back as soon as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Naughty Boy Corner, only 1 suspension. I didn't get the confirmed time, but Braden Burns from the Cowboys, he had a grade 2 careless high tackle. And it was 2 to 3 matches. I'm just going to...
Happy enough for Crichton to not make that list?
Crichton never makes those lists, mate. They haven't made a decision on, I assume because they've got that weird week where the rest of the round's still happening. Judiciary won't happen until next week, so they haven't given us an official time yet, but I'll say he'll probably get 2. But Crichton, there wasn't much in it, to be fair, but Crichton's one of those players that's on the notebook that gets a pass. So
for sure.
But so anything you want to add about the Naughty Boys? There were a few fines, but nothing too major.
Nothing major. No.
All right, so let's get into the Vegas games. We can enjoy this round where we have to talk about 2 games. First up, we had on Sunday in Vegas, we had the Knights defeating the Cowboys 28-18.
Yep. And it was 5-3 for the Knights. We had Fletcher Sharp before his injury, Greg Maju, Bradman Best, Dom Young, and Trey Mooney. You have Trey Mooney on your fantasy?
I do.
Yeah, me too. Cowboys, Hylam Lukey and Murray Taulagi had 2.
Knights look good here. Their attack was sharp and they were making scoring look easy at times, which is something we couldn't say about them last year when they really struggled to put points on the board. They did switch off for a bit and made some silly errors, which gave the Cowboys a chance to get back in, but they kind of righted the ship, and while the points weren't flowing in the second half, they were still keeping an edge. And I thought it was just a very good start under Justin Holbrook. I think they looked tenfold better than they did last year. So good tick for them. Your thoughts on the Knights?
Agree completely. I think the new additions were sound. I think Dylan Brown was a he didn't really stamp his foot on the game, but he was a good foil for Ponga, and I think Ponga was in the kind of mood to own the game, which he did. And even when Fletcher Sharp picked up his injuries, Sandon Smith comes on, and I thought he did a pretty good job filling in that gap as well, which showed the value of having him available there. So I actually thought their spine combined quite nicely and looked dangerous. I thought they looked a lot better than I thought they might. Obviously, I tipped the Cowboys, but yeah, I think my estimation of the Cowboys has gone down quite a bit after this one.
Yeah, and speaking of them, what did you think of the Cowboys?
Yeah, just I don't know. Just they look like they've got good ingredients there. Obviously, Dearden, Drinkwater, but as a unit, just not. They look like a bottom 4 side off the bat. I don't know if I'm judging off that game, which would sort of go hand in hand with our prediction of Todd Payton being in trouble. I don't know if he's lost them a while back, but yeah, they're not. They don't look like that what they once were. They look like a team that's probably still going to have all sorts of defensive problems this year, and sort of be same old.
Yeah, the Cowboys looked in trouble after the Knights' fast start, but they did get into the groove and tried to make a match of it, leveling the game at halftime. But errors and poor discipline saw them always a step behind. Some nice showings from the individuals like Helen Lukey. I thought played really well after such an injury-plagued career, basically. But there's just not enough firepower and scoring ability in this side. So I'm expecting a tough year for them, which we kind of all said. Before we talk about players that stood out, Jago said the Knights surprised me a bit, but still think they'll struggle as the season wears on as they lack depth of good middlemen. Yeah, they're leaning on Trey Mooney as like their big dog, or him and Saifiti as their big dog props, and I don't think you can do that week in, week out. But Trey Mooney could end up being like the 2026 Terrell May. We don't know. He looked the goods, but yeah, you need more than 2. And Jack also said Payne's head's almost in the guillotine. Yeah,
I think so.
I think it was very surprising to see him get out of 2025 with the job still. So I feel like every performance is just going to add to that pressure. So they need to start winning and winning quick if he wants to keep his job, which basically is every coach's target. If you're out there losing every week, you're not going to stay around long. Your player to stand out, mate.
I had to go with KP. I thought it was just one of those games where his flair was coming off, but he looked like a leader out there as well. Just the all-round, I think if you're giving out Dally M points, he picks up probably all of them from that game. It looked like back into 2023 Ponga, which is great for him. And yeah, spoilers, got a little bit of question about him later, so for you.
Yeah, he's definitely making people interested in that Kiwi selection. I went with Kellen Palmer as well. He was the commanding half, if you call him that, even though he's fullback. He was demanding the pill the most, and when he's in that mood and when he stays healthy, he can be one of the best players in the comp. So the Knights need him to bring this every week. You don't want to see him have an off night. And if he does have an off night, that's when you want to see that money you invested in Dylan Brown with him having the ability to step up and take that place. But yeah, I feel like he was head and shoulders above everyone else, which is great for Knights fans. Next game, mate, or final game we're talking about tonight. Bulldogs defeating the Dragons in the first ever Vegas Golden Point game, 15-14.
Yeah, exciting one, actually. Was 2 tries apiece for the Doggies. Jacob Preston, bang a try. Little bit of Leka Halasima about that try with the footwork. And Carraz was the other one for the Red V. Emre Gula and Setu too on his debut for the Dragons. Dotted down, he had a funny old night. Copped a little bit, but yeah, they were the try scorers anyway, and it was the just the Golden Point field goal from Stephen Crichton separating them. Yeah,
it was an entertaining match. I thought the Bulldogs played with a very solid game plan, which is kind of the DNA of the former Panthers coaches. Cam and Webster have a very similar game plan, and the Bulldogs made it work here. They did leave some points on the field with some errors and poor decisions at times, but they do look a very good side this season, as they did last year. I think Galvin and Preston, who you already mentioned, were showing a budding relationship. They were combining really well on that right edge, and the pack was hungry and setting a platform, which is all you can ask for if you want to give your backs all the time in the world to kind of be a dangerous attacking threat. They did almost lose it with some ill discipline, but they did have luck on their side and got the job done in Golden Point. So they might not come out of Vegas as happy as they would like. They probably would have expected a more comfortable win. But walking away with the 2 points is all that matters, especially in the early rounds.
For me, you're kind of on the money with the Bulldogs' DNA and sort of being similar to that Panthers Warriors kind of mold. And they don't always blow teams away, but all their basics, their kick, chase, and defense is always real sound. I thought Galvin was pretty good in that first half, especially that combo you mentioned. Preston's awesome. I think he's like the Doggies kind of. He's got that same sort of athleticism that Hudson Young has on the other side of the field for the Raiders, and he always seems to find himself in the try-scoring ranks. But yeah, I thought Galvin looked quite good. I thought for a young fella, I didn't think the bright lights got to him. And overall, they kind of just did what they needed to do. A couple of clutch moments from their captain. That's what they pay him for. He's got those clutch moments. He's always had those clutch moments in him. They brought home the win.
Yeah. And your thoughts on the Dragons?
I took them as a wooden spoon team, just like you. Kind of, I don't have any good reason. Just I probably had less of an argument to not give it to them than the other teams in the discussion. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think they're going to get it again this year. They look like like a Shane Flanagan kind of team, dogged and even though they might not have been man for man as talented, they hang in the fight and have players that are suited to that kind of thing. Gutho, even at this age of his career, he's suited to, and he's a good kind of leader for that kind of team. And I think they'll edge out a enough games this year where they won't pick up that spoon, I think. But yeah, that's just the kind of team now. And they nearly did it here in Vegas, against a team that's probably most people would pick well above them.
Mate, episode 2 of the 7th season, you're already wanting to fight with me. I don't like it. No, I agree. I had that in my notes. The Dragons played a lot better than I thought they would. They stayed in the fight all night and created opportunities for themselves. Great to see Setu 2 score. Jacko also said that Setu 2 looked very solid. Dogs bombed him a lot, and he handled it well. Yeah, I thought he had a great game. There was a good interview with Cameron George talking about, Setu 2 being a guy they let go. And he said, there were too many opportunities for him outside of the Warriors, and logistically speaking, if he stayed with the Warriors or they tried to convince him to stay, he probably wouldn't be playing first grade in 2026 like he is at the Dragons. And he's shown he's very capable of playing first grade if he's given the chance. So it was the best of both worlds. So as much as I hate seeing him go to the Dragons, it's great to see him getting his chance to shine. He's got a hell of a story. And I thought Atkinson had a solid night out in the halves. Thought he did a good enough job. And they got some great players in that pack. The Couchman brothers and Hamish Stewart. They do have a good enough team to do stuff. A bit of gelling and reps together, and they will make me look like a fool, I think, and avoid that wooden spoon. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near a finals contender, but I feel like they could play good enough to avoid that bottom 4.
Yeah. Even have old dogs like Damien Cook, I thought was quite good too. He's put on the try for Gula. He still has a lot of value, I think.
Yeah, so disappointing for them. Very happy for me to see them get the loss. Just when push came to shove in Golden Point time, they didn't have those clutch moments in them. Your player to stand out?
I had to go Critter for those clutch moments. He got the field goal, but he put the try on for Carraz as well, with the classic centre play and out the back of the hand pass to put it on a plate. He's got those big moments in him. So, and he ironed out Setu 2 and managed to not get suspended. So
get in good trouble. Yeah, I went with him as well. Just Golden Point winner. He did miss one conversion, but he got 2 penalty kicks and got 1 conversion, and was quite heavily involved all over the park. So that's all you can really ask for from him. When you need that winning moment and you're paying the big money to him, you kind of want to see him nail it. And he did miss one, but he got the one that counted. So I went with him too. Normally we would show the ladder, but there's no ladder yet because only 2 games are played. We would normally show the tipping comp too. I am going to, just because we've got to talk about something, mate. If I can remember how to do this. So we'll bring it up. So we've got 15 of us in the comp this year. A couple did jump in with us. Only 4 people picked the first 2 games. A lot of people were heavy on the Cowboys for some reason. I guess because Knights were wooden spoon last year. But yeah, so Roscoe, myself, Hammer, and your boy Mac all got 2 from 2, and everyone else is 1 from 2. We'll talk about it more next week when we've actually got a full roster. Simon said he's very disappointed in the Cowboys. Yeah, they weren't that great, mate. So we'll move on. We've got the fantasy comp. We are doing it again, as much as people may have had talked to us about the numbers. But we have even got a comp against each other, and our teams are battling this week. So next week when we go over our scores, we're actually playing each other. So it's just something for us to do. It makes the games a bit more interesting for us when we're watching every game. So it's handy. So we'll go to questions. We haven't really had any questions from anyone because we talked to them all the way through, but I'll go with my one first because it's more related to Vegas. But out of the 4 sides that played in Vegas, which one impressed you the most?
I could look at 3 of them and say they definitely had moments. One definitely did not impress me. That's the Cowboys. But I think the Knights showed more potential. I think with their signings, they definitely had some potential. But I think after seeing it in action, I'm inclined to say them. I think what they got building there has potential to grow into something dangerous. Yeah. So probably for me, the Knights. Of those 4, I think the Doggies and Dragons had moments in their games as well. But yeah, probably as a whole, the Knights.
Yeah, I went with Knights as well. Bulldogs, I expected more from. They still played well enough to get the job done, but I think the Knights showed a lot more than I was expecting. I expected a bit more in attack with the players they signed, but they looked a lot better than I was even anticipating. If that will continue this week or next week, I should say, for them in round 2 is another story. But yeah, for me, that was them. That kind of segues into your question too, mate. So
yeah, not really NRL related as such, but just with the eligibility rules changing and talks of Ponga possibly declaring himself for the Kiwis. If that were to be the case, how does he fit into the Kiwis test squad, in your opinion? Is he a starter? Does he replace Kenny, or does he even make your team?
He has, if he's going to be a Kiwi, he has to be in the squad. Depending on how Kenny goes this year, I think the fullback spot is Kenny's to lose. I don't think Ponga coming in doesn't immediately take it. But there's been an issue many years, Matt, where we get to the end of the year when the Kiwis are playing, we always seem to lose a half or 2. I think if push comes to shove, you throw Ponga in at 6. Like how we've had Chance at 6 for Kiwis.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I know they've tried that experiment at Newcastle before, and it hasn't really worked. I think the Kiwis could make it work if they had to. And I see Ponga has more ability to be moved than Kenny does. So that is it. Or we might not even have this conversation because Kenny and Ponga don't have the best luck injury-wise. So there might be a chance that one of them or both might not be available World Cup time due to injury. Touching wood. Hope that's not the case. But he's definitely too good a quality player to not have in your squad. It's going to be up to, I guess, Stacey still. They haven't said they're looking for another coach. They're just letting Stacey keep it. Be up to him. But yeah, he'll be, I think you could easily put him in at 6. I'm trying to think of who would the 6 be naturally right now.
Oh, well, Cody Nikarima might be available.
I would probably rather have Ponga than Nikarima. And you want Jerome Hughes at 7.
Yeah, for sure. Jerome Hughes 7. You know what? When I put this question to you, and I was thinking about my answer, I thought absolutely he has to be in the team, but I thought one of them would be fullback and one of them might figure as a utility off the bench. And I hadn't even thought about 6. But you're right. I think if you're looking at a spine of Jerome Hughes, Kalen Ponga, and Kenny, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, and when you see the way he's playing with the Knights, we're off one game. He's playing more as a half anyway. So that it might not. It completely. He might decide he doesn't want to play. I see him 100% saying he wants to play. He's already said he would love to be a Kiwi, but he loves playing for Queensland. Not that that's really a matter anymore. I don't see him playing for Queensland anymore while Walsh is running around doing what he's doing. But
the argument against him in the halves is his head knock history and having a defend up in the front line. But with that Kiwi forward pack, he's got a lot of bodyguards there.
Yeah, I think that massive pack the Kiwis have will be able to protect him a bit better in that role if that's the case. But yeah, that's what I would do. I think he's too valuable of a player to miss out. And he is already very opinionated on his he has no desire to be a kangaroo. So if he's going to play for anyone, it's us, because there's no other team he qualifies for. So other than Australia, who he does want to play for. So yeah, we'll see. That's what I would do, just due to weaknesses in the Kiwis' potential lineup.
I like it. Yeah. I like it.
All right, so we'll go on to the rest of round one, mate. We finally get a bloody Warriors game. I can't bloody wait. So we'll do, as we do every week, we will go through the team for the Warriors and their opponent, which is the Roosters. Go Media Stadium this Friday night. You want to run off the Warriors team for us, mate?
For sure, happy to. Fullback CNK, the wings Watini Selesniak and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. The centres, I'm happy about this one, Brad. Ali Leotawa. He gets rewarded for a bit of his preseason form, and Pompey was his jumper to lose, wasn't it?
It was.
Halves, Chanel Harris-Tavita and Tanner Boyd. I think Tanner Boyd's probably the logical option with Metcalf not there. Forwards, Fisher Harris, Wade Egan, Jackson Ford is the front row. Second row, Kurt Capewell, Jacob Laban is the starter, and Aaron Clark 13. Interchange, Healy is 14, Dimitri Vaimonga, Leka Halasima, Tanis Dale-Smith, and then 18-20, Tane Tuapiki, Morgan Gannon. And I think with that, the right guys being rewarded for preseason form.
Yeah, I think so. And your question to me last week was asking my Warriors team, and it did look a little bit different, but I made the caveat that if Chanel was in healthy, he was in at 6. And I think it is 1 to 20, I think is almost identical. So it's not hard to pick a Webby team. He can be predictable with his lineup. So it is what is expected. I think the only thing I was umming and ahhing was, would he go with Laban or Leka? I went with Laban because Laban feels like a better starter, and Halasima's impact, if used right, will benefit the Warriors off the bench if you're not deciding to start him. I'm very happy with the team. I think with everyone that's available, I think this is the best team they can come up with. And it doesn't look half bad. We'll talk about it when we go through our picks. I'm still not that confident this week, unfortunately. But I think that's a hell of a team if everyone can stay healthy. You happy enough with the side?
I'm definitely happy enough with the team. I think it's the best we can roll out given who's available. There'd be some personal tweaks I might do off personal preference. Tane Tuapiki, but I'm happy enough to roll out with the Webby preference and the OG Chans. We know what we're going to get out of him. So
yeah. And then the Roosters, quite a good team here, mate. So we've got James Tedesco at fullback, Daniel Tupou and Mark Nawaka-Nisawase on the wings, Billy Smith and Robert Toya in the centres, DCE and Sam Walker in the halves. Then we've got the front row, Nuff White, Benay Iluwili and Lindsay Collins. Front row, Angus Crichton, Nat Butcher. Second row, Blake Steep at lock. And then their bench is Connor Watson, Sua Wong, Egan Butcher, Spencer Lenu, Cody Ramsey, and Junior Bungo. Jacko said internet playing. Sorry about that, Jacko. But yeah, that's it's a very solid Roosters team, mate. I'm a bit worried, as I was for the first game at Mount Smart last year when we went up against Manly. I'm hoping my sense of dread is just me being a hurt Warriors fan. But that is a very good side. That back line is quite stacked, and it's a decent forward pack too. So
The back line's insanely stacked, and then the forward pack's pretty bloody handy as well with Nafahu White, and Blake Steep is going to be a real good one for years to come, and he looked good in the All-Stars game as well.
Yeah.
Connor Watson coming off the bench, Spencer. I'm not feeling that optimistic because it's a very stacked team, yeah. But you never know, mate. We're at home. It's going to be a sellout.
It is a sellout, yeah. So
hopefully the line.
We'll see what happens. So who are you picking in that game?
My head's saying Roosters. That's who I've submitted as my tip.
You coward.
You coward. Same.
All right, so we've got the fixtures now, mate. So first up is tomorrow night. Eels versus Melbourne. I've gone with Melbourne. I think Melbourne at home, they have to be too strong. So I'm sticking with them.
Eels have enough to trouble them, but Storm they don't lose round one.
Yeah.
Little tip. They don't lose round one.
Yeah, and then Friday we've said we've both gone with the Roosters here, mate. It's the one pick I want to get wrong. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Warriors walk away with the win, especially in front of that packed out crowd. It's just a hell of a Rooster side they're playing against, and DC loves breaking Warriors fans' heart at Go Media. So he gets a chance to do it in the different colours now. But yeah, it should be a cracker of a game. Next game on Friday, another cracker as well. Broncos Panthers. I've gone with the Broncos. It's just home field advantage for me. I feel they're probably still stinging from that World Club Challenge too. And Panthers have had a bit of a reputation to be slow starters. So
no, I'll go the other way. I'll get Panthers. You're probably right, but we got to differ if we want to.
I'm trying to win the tipping comp, mate. I'm sick of losing. Next game's on Saturday. We've got the Sharks Titans. I've gone with Sharks. I think they always like cleaning up the teams that should be below them, so it should be fairly easy for them. And Titans, I'm still not sold on. They did look good in preseason, but preseason's a different beast.
I'm going to go Sharks, but I think the Titans will be they'll be dangerous like they always are. Just can they stop as many as they score?
Yeah. And then the final game on Saturday is Seagulls versus Raiders. I've actually gone with Raiders for the away win. It's interesting because I want to say it's Manly's first game without DCE, but it's also the Raiders' first game without Fogarty, and they're playing Fogarty. So both got new halves combinations, but I think the Raiders will be too strong. I just don't have confidence in Manly yet.
I couldn't remember who I tipped. I just had to consult my ESPN footy tips. I went Canberra as well.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
And then the final game of the round is Dolphins Rabbits. I've gone with Dolphins. I think Dolphins, especially at home, they got so much firepower. I'm expecting big things out of Rabbits this year, but I feel like losing Brandon Smith might take a little bit of cohesion out. And yeah, that Dolphins team just screams points all over the park. So
do the Rabbits. I think this will be a real game to look forward to close out the weekend. I think that's a banger. But I went Dolphins as well.
Yeah. Nice. So that is it. If you are in the tipping comp, remember to put your picks in, even though the round's already started. That's it though, mate. We're doing a sub-hour show because we only had... Paul might be concerned that we went an hour talking about 2 games when we got 6 games next week and 8 the following. But really looking forward to it. I'm obviously going to be at the first game on Friday night.
Very jealous.
So looking forward to it. But anything else you want to add before we let everyone go?
No, I'm happy, mate. Everyone enjoy an early night.
All right. So there'll be much
anymore. He's on Monday.
Yeah, exactly. That's how strong we are, mate, that we made SJ change his night.
We own Wednesday night.
Right, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on the Standoff with Brad and Richie. For your weekly updates on rugby league, tune into our show next Wednesday at 8 p.m. here on Facebook or on YouTube or at your convenience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Radio. And good night, everyone. And hopefully we'll be talking about a Warriors win next week. Night.